Coming up on today's show, we are talking about what happens when your goals and your dreams are interrupted by purpose. You don't want to miss this show. Hello, darlings, and welcome to Wake Up Well. I am your host, Portia Scott. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. We are so happy to see you. If you are watching the replay, again, I'm your host, Portia Scott, and the Wake Up Well show is a show that was created with the mission to make sure that we are waking up well in our minds, bodies, and in our souls. So we are so excited to have you. Hello, darling. Hello, Paula. Thank you all for joining. We are super excited. I am super excited to be back. Listen, I know we were gone for a couple of weeks, but we are back, baby. We are in the saddle. We are ready to go. And so we want to make sure that you share this broadcast, share with your friends and your family. One of the things that you probably heard us say is that we are talking about what happens when your goals and your dreams are interrupted by purpose. We get the great opportunity to hear from our favorite mental health, our only mental health hygienist, Marty Sellers, and we get to talk about his story. The thing about stories is that it allows us to get exposure to know that the impossible is possible. And I believe that as you're listening to his story, as we're talking about his story, that this will not only inspire you, but it will impact you to make an impact in somebody else's life. And then it will cause you to reimagine what your purpose, what your gifts and your callings could look like. So you guys know, I always want to know, what are you grateful for? What are you guys grateful for out there? Let us know in the comments what you are grateful for. So as we're talking about what you're grateful for, there's another thing that I want to make sure that everybody knows. If you are currently watching on my personal profile, we want to make sure that you are engaging with us on Facebook at I am Portia Scott, which is my page. And so the way you know the difference is because on my page, I'm doing this and I have a ponytail. And if you're on my personal one, you will see the ring about staying at home. So that will let you know which one you're on. But you want to go to I am Portia Scott on Facebook or Portia Scott Media on YouTube. Why? This is the way that you'll be able to engage with us. This is the way that we'll be able to see your comments. So we are no longer putting those comments on the screen from our personal page. We want you to interact and engage with us, going to our Facebook page at I am Portia Scott or YouTube at Portia Scott Media. All right. So what are you grateful for? Let us know in the comments what you're grateful for, what's going on out there. And I know it's a little bit of a switch, so we'll give you a little bit of time if you are on the page just to switch over to YouTube or to the profile or to the actual page, which is at I am Portia Scott. So you guys know I do not do this show alone. I am always with my favorite, my only mental health hygienist, Marty Sellers.
Hello, darling. How are you?
Hello, darling. How are you doing?
Listen, doing amazing.
Yes. What does your shirt say?
Listen, self-care, non-negotiable.
Love it.
Self-care is not negotiable any longer in 2021. Period.
Absolutely. I love it. I love it. I love it. One of the things that you guys probably don't know is I took a sneak trip to California and I got to see Marty last week. You know, Marty, what I realized, we didn't even take any pictures.
I know. What was that all about?
We didn't take any pictures. I do have pictures of like Marcel consulting, but I don't have anything else.
Right.
And so one of the things, I'm going to go ahead because I usually ask you what you're grateful for, but I'm going to say that I was so grateful to be in the city with you. We got to hang out because
Right.
John Henry, he was all peopled out, but you and I got to hang out. We got to spend time. We went to dinner. When we flew in, you guys, I was super tired. Listen, we went to church.
Right.
Got on a plane Sunday night, flew cross
Hey,
country,
Paula.
and I was ready to go to sleep. And then Marty was like, "Oh no, I'm still in the office. Do you want me to Grubhub you something?" And I was like, "Well, are y'all going out to eat?" And he was like, "Yes." And I was like, "I want to go." And immediately I saw people and I was like, "Yes, yes, yes." So I realized that if extrovert was a person, I would be it,
You
because
are
I'm
it.
telling you, I'm telling you. But Marty, what are you grateful for, my friend?
I am so grateful for that. We had some time to just get to know each other even that much better. Talk about our dreams and goals for your show with Portia Scott Media, what I'm doing, and share and just have that collaborative time and just get to know. Just have dream together. It's always good when you can have someone that you can dream with, who understands you and understands your hearts and all that. So I'm just grateful for you. I'm grateful for John Henry Scott, who is the exec of all executive trainers. Let me tell you something. Woo! I'm energized.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I know there are some comments coming up. I think Nicole said, "Hello, family. I'm grateful that things
Hello.
are getting better in my city. It's nice to be outside again." Nicole,
Yes.
yes. And listen, Nicole, I know you are in LA. We were actually in, where were we?
Rancho
Ontario,
Cucamonga.
Rancho Cucamonga, which is like 35 miles, I think, from the city. So as you guys know, that means that it's 8 hours to actually get anywhere due to the traffic. So Nicole, next time we are in LA, I'm coming to see you. I always love to get with you and Aunt. John Henry said, "I'm grateful for the gift of creating new memories with my family, friends, church, and wonderful clients."
Yes.
Absolutely. I love it. I'm grateful that my son is graduated from high school tomorrow with high honors. Come
Come
on,
on.
Christian.
Woo!
Yay! We are
Congrats.
super
Congrats.
excited. We have so many graduates this year. And so we are so, so excited about that.
But wait a minute. Don't let's not skip past what the obvious is today.
What's the obvious?
The obvious is what is with this new set?
Listen, honey,
Oh,
darling, listen.
oh, I'm
So,
loving it.
you guys, one of the things, we try to mix it up a little bit, and you
Yes.
guys don't know, but our producer, the Mac in the back, Daryl, he is always up leveling us. And so we
Right.
talked about where we wanted the show to go, what the look and feel wanted to be of the show. We got some great things coming. Marty, you've already kind of implemented it, so many on your show. So we have some great things coming.
Yes.
And we wanted to really give this look and feel.
That's
I think
right.
when we initially started and we started the COVID-19 update, it was very informational. It was a very
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
informational type show.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as we go over to Wake Up Well and we have you and different guests, I really want you guys to feel like you're just at my house hanging out with Auntie Portia.
Right.
Listen, get your coffee, get your tea. We have real conversations and questions. So thank you, Marty, for that. But y'all like it.
I
Y'all like
love
the
it.
little
Come
setup.
on.
Yes.
Wait,
Let me tell
I'm
you,
about to step my game up. Wait a
I
minute.
cannot listen. I cannot wait till I get a studio, y'all. Because when I get
Come
a
on.
studio,
Oh, it's
it's
on and popping.
it is on and popping. So speaking of which, I know we didn't do a banner for this, and Daryl is going to get me. But in on July 15th will be my 2-year anniversary of the Wake Up and Show Up podcast, and I want to invite you guys to a live show that we are actually going to do July 10th. So you guys just set your calendar. Alexa, set a reminder for July 10th. We'll get the times for
Wow.
you so that you guys are ready. But we're super excited. We're going to do a live show and just talk about the podcast. And so I'm super excited about that. So let's get into the show.
Yes, wait a minute now. I may have to buy me a live ticket and to come
Okay.
out there and interview you. I
Listen,
don't wait a minute.
come on, Marty. Come on. Come on, Marty.
Ooh,
It's
Daryl,
coming. It's
find us a
coming. The
live ticket.
studio.
Yes,
The
the
studio
studio's
is
coming.
coming.
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
yes, yes, yes. I'm still grateful for patty pies and AC in this hot Texas heat. Listen, brother, listen. The
Woo.
AC is serious. You hear me?
Right, right.
Um, Thomas says he is grateful for Tam Taylor. That is his fiance. They are getting married at the end of July. Super excited.
Congratulations.
Yes, yes, yes. So, guys, I wanted to do this because I think we hear Marty all the time. We watch his show, we see him on here. He's doing amazing things. He's this bubbly, lively personality. And I thought it was interesting and important that we kind of share his story. And he let me share his story. And so I'm super excited. because I want you guys to hear some of the story that I know. And I think it's
Mm,
important that as we are, oftentimes we have these dreams and these visions, and sometimes they are interrupted by purpose. And at the
right.
times, sometimes it does not seem like this is purpose. Sometimes this does not seem like this is something that I wanted to see or that I saw.
Hmm.
But when you look back and you take a seat back, I had the opportunity to meet with Marty, and I had the opportunity to actually see Marcel Consulting, y'all. It's a real thing. It ain't
It
no fake
is.
fake. It's a real business. And I went into his office and I just sat in his chair and I looked around and I saw the palm trees and I saw the
Right.
courtyard and I saw the mountains. And I just asked him, did you ever think this? Did you ever
Mm-mm.
think this? Not in your a million dreams
Wildest.
did you ever
Right.
think. And so I think sometime when we sit back, whether we're in our glass offices,
Hmm.
corner suite, whether we're in our studios, but I think it's important
Right.
that sometime we take a minute to sit exactly where we're at and think
Yeah.
about, I wouldn't have imagined this. You know,
Hmm.
if somebody would have told me 4 years ago that you were going to do something new, Portia, you were going to leave this career that you did love, and that you were going to start a media company, that you were going to
Right.
start
Right.
doing media, girl, you're not no journalist. What are you doing? And so I sit in my life at times and I'm just like, I never would have thought. But I'm so glad when purpose interrupts our own plans. And so, Marty, I want us to start out and just I want you to tell me a little bit about growing up and really that move because you weren't born in California, that
No.
move from your little town to California. Um, so give us a little background about that.
Wow. Well, I grew up in a little small, little, what I always say now, a hick town called Newark, Ohio, not Newark, New Jersey, Newark, Ohio, or Ahia, as we say. And it was just on the outskirts of Columbus. We had one Black Baptist church and one Black AME church. That's how small it was. And you either went to either one of those two or none at all. And so my story really goes back to when I think of my childhood, I definitely think that it was a wonderful, wonderful, amazing childhood. And I now have the context to say the domestic violence that I witnessed in my life, although it was painful many times, and I look at my family and how it has definitely split us. But Portia, when I think back at it now from the hat of a therapist, we normalized negative behaviors. We normalized domestic violence. We normalized that this what a man was supposed to do and could do it. And even in the church, we normalize it as well. And so for me, my father was an amazing provider. Portia, we lacked for nothing physically. We lack for nothing clothes wise or anything like that. And at times I can honestly say we really didn't even lack the emotional support, but I think what we lacked was understanding the traumas that some of us have come through and normalizing those traumas because we did not have access. Who thought about mental health services then? Who thought about anything like that and saying, hey, wait a minute, this is not normal? So I got to California because my mother, after getting a divorce from my father, and he was still coming around and whatever, wanted to put as many miles away from him as possible and moved to California. We moved to California with family members. I can remember the day my mother came home on that Monday and said, we're moving. We're leaving on Wednesday because I have to show up to work on Monday and we're driving.
Wow.
And I was like, okay,
Yeah,
let's
it's
go.
so funny. I met your mom, right, while I was
Yes.
there. I love her. She is just an amazing woman.
Hilarious.
And because I know your story and I got to
Mhm,
meet her and I got to see how such a strong woman she
mhm.
is. Because I think that when we're thinking about domestic violence, and
Yes.
I'm super excited about this because tomorrow I'm actually doing a interview with someone who is a domestic violence advocate. I'm super
Mm,
excited about that. And I think that we don't always think about what's involved, because it's
Right.
very easy to say, get out, go, leave.
Right.
But you have children, you have
Mhm.
this financial burden, you have responsibilities.
Mhm.
And so I think that it is easy to say, leave, and go do this. And so
Mhm.
now she is leaving. She's
Mhm.
going, so, I mean, Ohio to California is pretty far.
Yeah.
And yes,
Yes.
she had a job, but you're starting all over. Community and the closeness. Most of your
Mhm.
family were back in Ohio, correct?
Mhm. Most of them were. We had some
Yep.
family on my mother's side who had moved out here. She had, 3 sisters who were
Okay.
out here now, and then my grandfather was out here, her father, her stepfather, and so we did have some other family out here, but it had been years since I had really been around them for that, period of time.
Yeah.
And
So
yeah,
so how old were you when you guys got to,
I was 16. And
so
I was president of my high school class. So I had to leave a whole lot of things behind. Being president of my high school class, a part of so many other organizations, very active in my church, and very active with my family that I knew here in California.
Mhm.
And when I look at even my mother, you're right. Um, Oftentimes when I ask her, she goes, "I really did love your father. I just knew he had a problem, and I was
Mhm.
hoping that he could get over it, or move past it." But it's one thing to hope, and again, we didn't know the help that you could get, or what.
Mhm.
The question really is there help? Was there help out there? I got to say yes, but was there help in our Black and brown communities?
That is
That
a question.
Mhm.
That's a question. As a military vet, one of the things that I see, even though I was in the military, we talked about
Mhm.
mental health, we talked about those
Mhm.
things, but my father is also a vet,
Mhm.
and people before him coming back from Vietnam, and I'm just
Mhm.
saying in that era because your
Mhm.
parents are kind of in that era of
Right.
men coming back from Vietnam, and I think one I heard I read a comment. Someone said something. They were having a comment about baby boomers, and they were
Mhm.
like, "Oh, baby boomers, the ones that started leaving their families, where the men were leaving their families, and you're taking, recommendations, or you're taking counsel from them." And one of the things
Mhm.
that we don't realize is that the help that is available for us now was not
It
available
wasn't.
then. And so when you think about those men coming back from Vietnam and not having any help, and so many of them were on drugs and
Right.
all of these other things to help. And I'm not saying that's your father, but what I am saying is that in that era there was not a lot of help. And so
Right.
they didn't know what to do and who to turn to. So it's very
Mhm.
easy now for us to say, was that help even there, and especially for our Black community. So it's funny that you say that you ask that question, because this now becomes the answer. You're the answer to that question. But I want to go in because you're 16, you're in high school, you're
Right.
starting new, you've seen the abuse, you're
Mhm.
old enough to understand it. And
Mhm.
so you end up getting accepted to UC Berkeley.
All the time, I had said I was going to go to John Henry Scott will love this. I was supposed to be going to Stanford because that was where my heart was. I was going to go to Stanford to become an attorney. That
Yes.
was my trajectory, where I was going, and everything. Went to a college fair because now, Portia, I can honestly say that when I moved to California, I did not realize that I had my own type of trauma, because I
Mm.
remember no one from my high school years here in California. I remember going to school, but I remember none of the faces. And I did not
Wow.
realize that how much trauma I had experienced until I was in my 30s. And we're like, oh my God. I didn't realize and process my own trauma, because for me, I was just like, I got to get out of high school, and thumbs down. Brother John Henry, I made the right choice of going to UC Berkeley.
Yes, you did.
Would not change it for the world.
You
And and
did.
and so when I got accepted to Berkeley, Portia, that was my personal and mental escape. So I can say
Mhm.
now I can concentrate and heal. I didn't say in those times heal me. I just like,
Right.
I don't care about anyone else. I'm going to focus on me now.
Yeah, you brought up a point because I do want to talk about that, especially since we have a mental health hygienist on. Is it true? We often hear that people forget traumatic
Yes.
scenarios, traumatic situations in their lives, and so when you say that, is it literally like almost like your mind kind of shuts down that period? Kind of
Oh,
what is that from a like from your professional standpoint? What does that look like? Because I feel like people have said I know people who have lost like siblings or somebody
hmm
close, and they're like, I literally don't remember it, and it is almost
hmm
like the mind is protecting them. It almost wipes it out.
that's exactly what happens. The mind is such a powerful muscle,
Mhm.
that an organ that it can shut almost everything down to, and I say that this way, it was the only thing that kept my sanity, so that I would not snap and go out of place. Now I remember everything, believe it or not, I remember everything about church, because church became my safe haven.
Right. Mhm.
Church
Mhm.
became my outlet, that I could, I was a choir boy, so I was singing and directing. So when I start directing choirs again back here in California, it became my outlet of
Mhm.
pouring out my hurt,
Mhm.
pouring out all of those things, so that I kept my sanity in everything that I did. And so
Mhm.
I remember everyone at church, remember no one from my school here in California, but remember all my friends when I was in Ohio, that I'm
Mhm.
still in contact with today.
Yeah.
And so that's how I knew that I had built up this mental protector, that my mind went into, okay, let's just go into automatic gear, because you need to protect yourself. You need to move forward, blah, blah, blah,
Wow.
in order to, so that I would not lose my sanity. And then I remember those from college. Now, there's still a few people that I'm going, oh, yeah, we did go to school together, but that's a whole nother story. But
Yeah. So, Marty, I want to ask, were you the oldest child at the time of the move, or who was
yes,
you were the oldest child,
I'm
so it
the
was
old
you?
the oldest
Okay.
of, I believe 9 of us, but that's a whole nother story. But living was with me, myself, my brother Bobby, and then my sister Tasha, and then my other siblings, that were between Bobby and I. We were on a definitely didn't have a strong relationship, because my father never brought them around, and then the other ones were born after I had were in college.
So that I'm thinking about that road trip
Mhm.
from Ohio to California. Maybe you don't remember it because
Oh,
you
I
were
remember that.
16. But I wonder, what were some of those conversations? As the oldest child, sometimes we protect the younger ones, right? And so in our own, we may
Mhm.
be feeling some type of way, but in order to protect our other siblings, do you remember any of those conversations or comforting words or trying to explain this to the little ones,
Right.
or even trying to rationalize it for yourself? Do you remember some of those conversations?
And in that, Portia, my mother had to make a very difficult choice. I
Hmm.
was the only one who went to California out there with her. My brother and sister stayed behind
Hmm.
for the rest of that school year, just so that my mother could get kind of settled. And
Hmm.
then my sister came out, and um, yeah, and then my sister came out, and then my brother came out the following year. And then he moved back. And so, just getting, your family is now broken. We don't know what this new normalcy looks like. My mother is fighting depression and just taking it one day at a time. I'm
Hmm.
trying to be there as the oldest now, trying to take a mantle of being a quote unquote man. And when you don't even know what that looks like, my apologies. My y'all didn't tell me my camera froze. I'm sorry.
It's
And what Lord, we pray in our strength in the Lord. That's during these
there you
last and
go.
evil days.
There you
Yes, I'm
go.
back. We're gonna get that
But the
camera
picture,
working.
the picture was so nice. I was like, "Oh, it's fine. It's good. They can hear you. You're good. Let's keep going."
Yes.
That's all on
Uh,
me.
it's all good. And so, we now are trying as a family to put our pieces of our lives together, and what that looks like, and definitely, um and definitely seeing and healing and being there. And so I remember talking to my sister when she moved out, because our roles changed. We Portia, we came out in a Chevy Chevette. Now, do you remember those little small Chevy
I
Chevettes?
do. My aunt had one. Yes. I remember hers was blue.
There was, yes, my mother's was silver at the time. There were 5 of us in a silver Chevy Chevette coming across country.
Mm,
And it was quite of a journey. And as we're hurting and not knowing what to expect, and just taking it one day at a time. We got caught in a blizzard in Flagstaff, almost got killed by a semi when so you're having all this trauma coming along, and then all these life circumstances
right.
happen, and then you question, am I doing the right thing? And my mother, I can see her, have I done the right thing? What am I doing? Questioning all those things, and just really, I'll say it this way, trusting God the whole step of the way.
Right.
And then later just sharing with my sister and my brother, you know, hey, we're going to make it. We're going to be okay. We're going to be all right. I know it hurts, and I'm hurting just like you, but
Hmm.
we have each other to hold and cling to. That's why I think we're the 3 of us. We're really like this. I
Hmm.
probably talk to my sister Tasha almost every day.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I get mad at them about, well, excuse me, it's been 2 days. What's your problem? You ain't talked and get checked up on me or anything like that. But it becomes a really good healing bond. And then hearing the stories of my other siblings who
Hmm.
had very different experiences with my father, and then piecing all of that together as well. And so the 8 of us are so tight, in our own experiences, because we
Right.
chose healing over division, and we
Mhm.
chose unity over division. Has it always been easy? No, but we knew that we were greater together than
Mhm.
divided as a family. And
That's
my
so
mother,
powerful.
I'll say that she loves each and every one of them as if she gave birth to all of them. And that has been the beautiful thing. My mother is probably one of the strongest women I know. And I do thank God for her, because even when everyone counted her out, she hung in there and did what was necessary to
Mhm.
bring herself to healthy and bring her family to safety.
I love that. I just love that. I think I thought about, just that long trip. And so, one, thank you for sharing that with us. I think
Hmm.
Paula said, Marty, your courageous journey is so fascinating,
Mm,
because people often see us in these places without
right,
knowing the story. And it's very
right.
easy to be like, well, Marty, of course you can do mental health because your life is amazing. You got all this stuff, but to hear the stories behind it. So you head over to UC Berkeley. You were going
Yes.
to go to Stanford for law. When you started UC Berkeley, were you majoring in criminal justice at that time, or what was your major?
I went in undeclared by the grace of God. And I was a part of that whole group movement. I listen. I needed to get away. I graduated on a Wednesday and was in the summer program by that Friday. And it was the best thing that could have ever happened to me, because I was able to now meet other people from LA, all over, and we were all in one dorm for 6 weeks, loving on each other. And for me, that's when the real healing process took place. It really did. And so from there, it just kicked me off into those type of things. So I wanted to do everything, because that's the extrovert in me, and trying
Right.
everything. But I also knew that I wanted to be at college. I wanted to find a gospel choir, which they did not have at the time, and then just kind of do all those wonderful things that I thought college life was supposed to be all about.
Hmm. So let's talk about your college life, because something happens in college. We're going to college. We're gonna
Right.
get these degrees. We're gonna get out, and even though we didn't go to Stanford, we're undeclared. We're trying to figure out what it is. Maybe, maybe not. I go back into law, and something happens. And what is that thing that happened to you while you were in college? It produced something beautiful, but at the time, I'm sure we're like, I'm in college.
Yes, yes, that was like I said, the healing journey. because my mother was trying to heal herself. My siblings, not that I had a strong relationship with my own father, so it was the wandering years that were so. And did I make tons of mistakes? I surely did, but I thank God for His grace that kept me. So I started off. Knowing I kind of wanted to do law, but didn't know how to go into a pre-law. And believe it or not, I actually started off in the psychology. But because I was still in such a hurting mode, and you know how they teach you all the Freud and all the other theories with that. I'm just going, that doesn't happen in our communities.
Mhm.
That doesn't happen in our communities either. So here I am, this freshman full of vigor, full of energy, and I'm raising my hand like, I hear what you're saying, but have you considered? And then when the teacher was like, the professor, I should say, was like, Mr. Sellers, I'm like, yes. He says, I wrote the book. And I was like, oh, touche. Let me get my behind out of here real quickly. And that's when I went and said, let me go back to my first thought where I thought it was and go to pre-law. So I did my major in legal studies with a minor in African American studies, literature and theater arts. So that's where you get all the drama from. And did all of that and had an absolutely amazing, great time. Started a gospel choir since we didn't have one. And it went from 5 members to when I graduated, we were up to 125 members and got it to be an actual class in the music department.
That is excellent. That is excellent. So, when was Raven born?
Raven was born right right after I graduated. So I have now graduating with college, having a
Mhm.
baby on the way.
Do you
That
have a
wasn't
job lined up?
no, I barely even had a degree lined up. And
Right.
then and then I was accepted into law school, and then I had to make the choice between, do I go to law school? So actually, and oh God, I'm so embarrassed. No, I'm not embarrassed to say, but it was that choice because I didn't want to be a deadbeat dad.
Mhm.
And then I'm in the Bay Area, but Raven's in Southern California. I actually did not get a chance to see her face to face because I was scared. I didn't have any money. I was going now just graduated from UC Berkeley, just entered into a summer program at law school, started law school. She was born in August. I did not get a chance to see her until December.
Wow.
So yes, so that was difficult, and during that time I was going, God, what am I doing? I don't want to be, and for me, fighting now the images of my own father. I don't
Yes.
want to be like him. And so now, even though I have this great win-win, yes, I'm about to be a dad, but yes, I want to pursue law school, and yes, I've been accepted into law school. Am I making the right decision? What am I doing? And so you're dealing with all that trauma. So that was another period of major depression for me.
Mhm. Mhm.
But I knew how to hide it with academics.
Mhm. How do you reconcile that? I think because you'll tell the story, but how do you reconcile when you decide, I want to be a father more than
Hmm.
I want this? But
Hmm.
it's not like that thing, this didn't go away, but I just
Hmm.
made this decision. My husband has a very, very close story like that, and going
Hmm.
into Stanford and Ivy League, and although Stanford was not his choice, um,
Berkeley probably was his first choice, but he settled for Stanford.
but and so going to Stanford and
Hmm.
getting and being in there and having literally this
Hmm.
same moment that you had is
Hmm.
saying, I have this baby,
Right.
but this is Ivy League has been my dream. Like I've
Hmm.
worked so hard to get here, but this baby is more important, and I want to show up for that baby. We are not going to discuss that, my love. What he means we're not going to discuss is the fact that he applied to Harvard, and things don't always go the way that they were planned
it,
to.
it
But
doesn't.
listen, purpose steps in the way, and it
It
kind of
does.
it takes us on this course that we probably never thought we would be on. And I feel like
Hmm.
in your situations and in John's situations is that, yes, we had this dream, but purpose has a way of
Hmm.
coming in and just moving us out of the way and doing what
Most
it needs
definitely.
to do. And so so I'm assuming do you decide to leave law school? What happens?
Well, in the midst of all that, My daughter Raven's mother and I, we've always had an amazing friendship, if nothing else. It
Mhm.
was tumultuous at times, but we end up having a great friendship, and because she and my family was very encouraging and was just like, "Listen, I got Raven. You finished law school. Raven will always know who you are as her father. You're going to always be in her life." And y'all, this is before cell phones. This is
Mhm.
during the time when we barely could do anything with a pager. Long distance calls. You still kind of want like, hurry up, hurry up. This is a long distance call. We got to get off this call because I can't afford all this. And it was during that time. So I went to law school. It was a private law school. And believe it or not, my second semester, I ran out of money because not throwing my father in the bus because I said, Dad, I need this amount of money. If not, they're going to kick me out of law school. He ended up not sending it and they pulled me out of class. And that's how, again, when purpose supersedes your own will and with that. But I'm so grateful today that he did not pay that because I wouldn't be who I am and where I am today had he done that. And that's when we have to trust the purpose and decisions of God over anything else in our lives. It crushed me, but in that, I'm so grateful for it, looking at it some 30 years later.
Right. So now we're just going to fast forward a little
Yes,
bit and you get into mental health.
yes.
Why mental health? I know you started psychology and all of that
Hmm.
things, but I think for you it goes a little further, right?
A
In
lot.
understanding why mental health, why is this so important to you? Essentially, it is the core of who you are.
Yes.
I got a chance to talk to you and like you said, spend more time with you,
Hmm.
probably this time than I had the last time you were
Right.
here and the
Right.
conversations that we have. And so, why is mental health so important to you?
I think for mental health, I believe there are too many of we as Black men who are undiagnosed or don't know how to reach out for help.
Mhm,
And for me, it's more evident, especially during Black Lives Matter. We're seeing men after men being shot, killed, brutalized, the various systemic racism that goes on. We are hurting so bad.
mhm,
And for me, I needed a safe space just to unwind and not be judged. And even when I was in Ohio growing up, there was this couple, um, Greg and Sandra Williams. And I thank God for them because they kept my sanity. They knew the situation I was going
mhm,
on in my own house, and they would let me come to their house and just sit.
mhm,
And they were like, "Do you want to talk?" I'm like, "Nope." And then they would just, I would just sit there, maybe watch a movie, go to sleep, wake up, and leave. And they created just a safe space for me to unwind. And so for that, it just reminded me of that we need safe spaces of healing. We need
mhm,
safe spaces that we're not going to be judged. We need safe spaces that we can say, I'm tired. We need safe spaces that say, I'm confused. We need safe spaces that say, I'm hurting. And so for me, you know, in even in my master's program, you get to family therapy and somehow you just see everyone start breaking down. And I'm like, Portia, I'm not going to break. 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 I'm not. Okay, I'm breaking. I'm break. Oh my God. Oh, I just did the bitter Oprah ugly cry in class because I had to come to realization, even the image I had of myself was
mhm,
not the same image that everyone saw from me. And some of the things that because because being the oldest and having to this notion that I had to be perfect,
mhm,
and the fact that I was now had so many failures in my life.
mhm,
I felt like I might have been a quote unquote public success, but then I felt like such a private failure. By now, I was had divorced my wife, and now just things after things, and just a snowballing around that. I just could not take it anymore.
Mhm.
But I knew in order for me to be able to heal other people, I had to finish the healing process myself.
I love that. I love that. I feel like so oftentimes there's this moment where we're looking almost inside of us,
Hmm.
and becoming the answer that we
Hmm.
needed at the time. So I can't. John Henry is a mess talking about random thought, but can we please acknowledge the flawlessness of Nicole Toon's avatar? Mess. I can't. It's so funny because now I'm not close. I can't even see her avatar. Uh, Daryl, can you bring up one of Nicole's comments so we can all see the flawlessness and fabulousness of her avatar? Yes, yes. And this is actually a good comment. Black men need a safe space.
Yes.
Absolutely. I loved how you said that the couple would just allow you to come
Yes.
and sit and sleep and go home. Just
Hmm.
a way to unwind, just a
Hmm.
moment to get away from what you were dealing with at home, is that they
Hmm.
became that safe space. And so for you, you want it to be that safe space. When did you realize that this is what this is what I want to do? Before you
Yeah.
answer that,
Go
because I
ahead.
want to pull this up, pull Elizabeth. Yes, I
Yes.
think the church as a whole had a stigma that seeking therapy was saying you weren't strong. We all need a
Yes.
safe place to heal. Family, finally, minds are changing on this. Absolutely,
Can I
absolutely.
speak to that
I
comment
think,
though?
yeah.
Because I think what happens was, my pastor there, Dr. Charles C.W. Charles Noble, love him to death. He was a brilliant pastor, and we got brilliant spiritual advice from him.
Mhm,
But when it came to the mental health and how to maintain his constant message was, well, just pray. Well, just
mhm,
pray. He's a good man. He's a great provider. I'm like, we're agreeing with you on all those things. However, when does it come from stop, not saying stop praying, but when does the church intervene? When do we intervene? When do we stop the violence? When do we stop the domestic violence? When do we stop the hurting and say, I've hit this point where I can do this. Now I got to partner with someone else who can help you through the psychological and mental,
mhm.
because I cannot even reach my greatest spiritual potential if I
If
have
I
not
can.
reconciled within myself and within my mind. Because, the Bible even says, let this mind be in you. Well, I can't even have that mind to be in Christ until I get first the healing from here to here. And I just believe that there's I would say it this way. I believe that Christ was a cognitive behavior therapist, that he says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And if my thought process is wrong, my heart can't be right.
Mhm.
And so I just encourage pastors that listen. I as a therapist, I do not want your job as a pastor. That's a whole nother lane. I have a master's in theological studies. Yes, I have a master's in theology, but I don't want to be a pastor. I feel that my practice is my pastorage, if I could say it that way, for those who
Mhm.
are hurting, and I want to help get them connected to a spiritual body as well, so that we can work in concert and help the healing process all the more in that. So yes.
Yeah, I love that. It's funny because I wasn't raised in the church. So a lot
Mhm.
of the stuff I didn't know, because when I did come to Christ, but I did hear a lot of that stuff, just pray, pray, pray. I think
Mhm.
for John Henry and I, my pastor would be so proud of me. Look at me representing Christ culture. Christ culture. So we're taking Christ into culture. And that
Yes,
even means in
that part.
mental health
Yes.
services. And
Yes.
so there are certain things that we are great at, and that we
Mhm.
have skill at, and that we have an anointing in,
Mhm.
and we do that. But when there is a point where it's beyond us, we are
Mhm.
quick to say, hey, go see somebody, go
Right.
do this. This is some
Right.
resources that can help you. These are
Mhm.
resources. that can help you, because we do
Right.
not want to negate that while we are spiritual beings, we live in this earthly body. And there are
Yes.
certain things that, as you said, I can't even get through to the spiritual because I'm so weighed down in the
Yes.
natural and in my mind. And there are different things, right?
Mhm.
Sometimes it is chemical imbalances that have
Mhm.
nothing to do with prayer, that have nothing
Right.
to do with that. And while God can heal all, God has also given us these great gifts in
Yes.
psychologists, psychiatrists, and mental
Yes.
health therapists and counselors. And so, um, Elizabeth, thank you so much for bringing that up,
Yes.
because I think that's very important. But Marty, I wanted to ask, what was the thing that you were like, I'm going to go into mental health. This is what I'm going to do, and this is
Yeah.
where I'm going to make an impact.
When I look at how my life was aligned, it just when I finally got out of myself and said, "Wait a minute. God has always aligned me this direction.
Mhm.
And I now need to pay attention to his purpose because Portia, I even in that I was going to jobs. Was I doing well at them? Yes. But for some reason, the supervisor or the boss, we always rubbed each other wrong because I already
Mhm.
know I have a strong personality. I know that, and that's just who I am. I can't help it. But it kept leading me to helping and counseling and doing that. And so I took on a job by purely accident. At least I thought it was accident of becoming what I call a behavioral specialist because I was a youth pastor for 15 years at my former church. And so I was used to directing youth and all of that. And that job was a quasi mental health job and helping changing negative behaviors of kids. And then when I was telling the therapist about things, I'm like, no, I need to go back. And that's kind of my journey about re-enrolling into college and getting. I was like, God, I don't want to do another master's, but I went back and got my master's in marriage and family therapy, and kind of the rest is history with that. And I just was very passionate because I was given all boys. And then I started working in a group home with boys. So I was doing two jobs and just loved it. So it was just, I knew that was my journey. And then with that, it just helped shape me because when I saw these boys who are coming out of juvenile hall, these young men who are in group homes, their stories look too much like mine with
Mhm.
the hurt and the shame and all of those things. And father, whether they came from abusive households or their relationships with their fathers being tumultuous or non-existing. And so as I began to pour into them, they begin to say, well, why can't you just be my dad? And then Portia, me, just tears now just running
Yep.
down your face and all of that. And um, I just knew that I needed to help create this safe space for
Mhm.
young men because I needed that. And just imagine, and I was reminded about that couple that said, who provided that? So I said, God had already given me all the
Like
models and
this blueprint.
examples.
Mhm.
Yes, he gave me the blueprint and he kept directing my pathway into these young men's lives, especially when I walked into a Black and even our Hispanic families, and they saw me walk in and they were just like, finally, someone who will relate
Looks like.
to where
Mhm.
and who looks like me, who
Mhm.
relates to what I'm going through. So I'm like, okay, God, I hear you. I hear
Right.
you.
I mean, it also helped that your name is Martinez. You know, that
Martinez.
helped.
Pero
That
que habla
helps.
nada español. Um,
But hello, Kathy, darling. Thank you so much for joining. That is Paula's mom.
yes.
Marty, really quickly, when did you
Mhm.
go back to get your master's? How old were you when you went back and got your master's? Because I want to grab
I
hold of that.
felt like I was 1,000. I kept going, God, you are having me go back to get a master's. I was 40, oh good God, 46, 47. And I was just like, I'm too old.
Hmm.
I'm trying to look at retirement, and you talking about starting all over. There's a
Yeah,
problem here. Why couldn't you told me this earlier? But God's timing is always the best timing.
it is perfect. And
And it was perfect. Yeah.
I say that because you guys out there that are listening, hello, darlings, my darlings that are out there,
Yes.
listen, it is never too late to start something new. I always say this, Marty, that you're not starting over because
No,
you're bringing your skills, your
all of that.
expertise, your experiences into this new thing. And so
Mhm.
at 46, Marty goes back and he discovers this purpose. My mom says, OMG, I missed it was in the shower. Hello, everybody. Mom, you don't have to tell all your business, girl. Listen, you don't
Hey,
have to
she
tell
was
all
saying
your
fresh and
business.
clean, keeping it fresh and clean. Come on,
Yes.
mama.
But I think it's so important, Marty. I think
Yeah.
one of the things that I always talk about is starting is what are you going to do to make an impact? I
Hmm.
don't want to leave this world, Marty, saying that I chose the safe space and
Yes.
I didn't make an impact. I would much rather take the risk. And I will tell you,
Right.
every time I have these conversations with you or with another guest, it is this feeling in my stomach, in my heart that I get to share these stories to make an impact. I'm going to ask this
Yes.
question to our viewers because I want you to think about this. Marty is 46 years old, and he is not now, he was. He's going back. He just getting
Come on.
wiser. He just getting wiser. But he goes back to college. He
Right.
goes back to get his master's to start this thing, to stand in his purpose. And so I'm going to ask you, what is the thing that you need to
That's good.
start so that you can make an impact?
And let me say this.
How are you going to impact the earth with what
Yes.
God has given you, with your gift and your talent? Or what about that thing that's lying dormant? I would have never imagined. Yes, I knew I was always a talker. Listen, I was always a talker, and I've also been, a minister and doing all these things for many years. But you would have never been able to tell me that this would be the
Hmm.
thing. But I allowed that time to open up something in me. At 39 years old, I started all over again. Started something new, not started over, but I started
Right.
something new. And so, Marty, what were you going to say?
And I say this too. When I went in and started school, I then start speaking those things. The Bible says, speak those things that aren't as though they are. I start speaking. I went in and said, I went in. My name is Marty Sellers, and I am 46, 47. I was 46, just turned 47, about to turn 47. And I said, and I am going to own the most prestigious mental health firm that you have ever seen. So you all might want to start signing up to work for me. And I
I
just start
love it.
saying that. I just start saying it because I had to believe it. I didn't know how it was going to start. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew that that was my destiny.
I love that. Paula says, can I tell you, my massage therapist is 86 years old. He
Right.
went to massage school after retirement. He's the best. I'm getting a massage tomorrow. Hashtag self-care is non-negotiable. Listen,
That's
um,
right.
that's so, so good. That's so good. Trish said, amen. Trish, happy birthday. You
Happy
guys wish
birthday.
Trisha a happy birthday. Her birthday was yesterday. Let us in the comments wish her a happy birthday. She is part of the Wake Up Well community, and we just want to show her love. But I think that's so important. Marty, before we came on, I
Mhm.
literally got teared up, you guys, because I had the opportunity. Marty was 46, 47, turning 47 when he goes back to school. And so I sat in his chair in his office, overlooking the mountains and palm trees. And like I said, there was a courtyard in the middle. And I felt like I had made it. Like being
Mm,
able to sit in his chair, what it did was it gave me exposure that you're not too old,
that's
that it
right.
can happen. And so I want to say that Marty is living out the best years of his life. And I say this to this audience because I know I'm not
Yes.
speaking to a group of 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds. I know you guys have families. I know many of you guys are in your careers, and I'm not telling you to leave your career. But what
Right.
I am saying is, I am saying that it's time to start the thing that you've been putting off. There's a book in you that we need.
Mm,
There is a message in you that we need. There are services in you that the world needs, and we've been waiting on you. And if
yes.
you are scared because of your age, if you are scared because it's new, don't be. Elizabeth said, we got out of the boat and started our Christian
Yes.
school at 54. You and John Henry
Yes.
encouraged us purpose now, not later. So our children, we met Elizabeth when we first came to Atlanta. We never even saw the school that they were at. We had Googled, thousands of schools. And one day I landed on the school where they were at, and we met them. We knew that was the school. And
Mm.
last year, I think it was, they started their school. They left. They were head of school. They had the income, and they
Right,
stepped
right.
out on faith to create what they knew God had
That's
started
right.
from them, which is the
Thank you,
promise
Elizabeth.
school. And so God has been faithful to them. Just as another testimony, you guys, of people doing just amazing things and stepping out on faith. Nicole Toombs said, I know this is confirmation for me. I know I have to
Amen.
be open to start something new. It's been pressing on my spirit during the
Yes.
pandemic. Do it, Nicole, do it. And you have a community with us to start and to be able to start, and what you need. The thing is, when I think about this community, when I think of Wake Up, well, some of you guys are crossovers from Wake Up and Show Up, but I think
Hmm.
about creating this community where we can dig into our community and say, hey, I'm thinking about starting this. Who do I need to go
Right,
to? I'm
right,
thinking about doing this. Who do I
right.
go to? I need a financial plan. Who do I go
Where,
to? And when
hmm
I think about our community, I definitely think about that. And I wanted you guys to hear um, Marty's story because it spoke to me. And I asked Marty the same thing I asked earlier was, Marty, did you ever think in a million years that you would be where you are today? That Marty is not only running a practice, but we looked out because he had his admin team is outside of his office. And I said, Marty, do you realize that you provide their livelihood? You provide that. These people rely on you. And Marty, did you ever think that that would be it?
Well, when I say I'm in awe, and Trisha's on here, and she's part of the as a business partner, and for us, we are still in awe because not only did I start school at 56, going to 57, I quit my job at 50 and started this practice, and no insurance, no money. I didn't have money to throw. I couldn't even pay my therapist for the first 4 or 5 months. And I said, listen, I'm starting a business, but I need you to work for me. But I'm not for sure when I can pay you. But just trust me. And that was my, not everyone said yes. Everyone says, when you can pay me, let me know. And I said, but I need you to keep your full-time job and work for me part-time. And I had about 5 good friends who did that. And only one of them is still with me today, but in that we were able to pay everyone. I praise God that being not even, we're 4.5 years old and we have zero debt. That's nobody but God. And to do those things, that we know it's nobody, that God's hand is upon us. And then a shameless plug, but it's not a shameless plug. When I say that God, John Henry Scott, has taken this business now and connected us and taking us to the next level. Why? Because like you said, Portia, we have a community that we can
Mhm.
do this. Yes, every day is in awe of God. Sometimes holding our own checks to make
Checks to
sure.
make sure
Right,
they
right. We've
were
done
all
that, but
paid.
we don't have to do that
Yeah.
anymore. Thank you, Jesus. Hallelujah. Come on,
I
because
love
God
it.
is good.
I
He
love it. And that
is.
is true. Like, I love the community part, right? Like, yes, he's
Yes,
my husband, but he's also amazing. And he's helped me in my business as well. And we're doing some stuff to scale. And so, if it's something that you need, dig into this community, reach
yes,
out, dig into this community. It's so many people that can help you. And you just never know. You never know
yes.
who can help you. Marty, it's 8 o'clock. I'm going to ask you
Oh
this
my
one.
goodness.
I'm going to ask you this one question. I ask everybody this on my podcast, but I'm asking you this today: is that if you just think about you've everything that you've ever wanted to do, you've been able to do. You've been able to just, the Believe Center has just impacted so many lives. The consulting and mental health, your media company, everything that you've desired to do has happened, and you've seen success in every area of your life. What is the one thing that you're most proud of?
You know, I don't know if it's most proud of, but probably most grateful for, that God has allowed me for such a time as this to be a part of his greater plan. And that walking in obedience was not the easiest thing to do, but it was the best thing I could have ever done. And do I struggle with that? Of course. Do I question some days, God, what are you doing? I don't understand. But until you tell me something differently, I'm just going to continue in the same direction from the last assignment that you gave me. and just taking it day by day. And I'm grateful for the lives that we have the opportunity to impact and change, and that we get to keep to grow and grow. And um, I'm just grateful for everyone who decided to be a part of us, everyone who could not be patient on the dream and decided they couldn't stay with us. But I'm just grateful for God for this opportunity again to join him where he's already at work at, just for this moment in time, for such a time as this.
I love it. I love it. Marty, thank you so much for sharing your story. I think
Thank
it's
you.
easy for us to tell other people's stories, but sometimes the vulnerability that you showed today, I appreciate it. I thank you.
Thank
How
you.
can we keep in touch with you?
Ah, of course, my website at mentalhealthmarty.com. And I am so excited on there. You'll see I'm starting a new young men's mentor group. That one is in person. So those who are in Southern California, we have an opportunity. I'm limiting it to the first 20 young men in their 20s, having a mentor group with that. And doing so many other things that's coming out. So stay tuned. But Mental Health Matters, mentalhealthmarty.com, Mental Health Matters with Marty on my Facebook page, and Mental Health Marty on Instagram.
Love it. Keep doing what you're doing because you are spectacular, Marty, says
Thank you,
Paula. Paula,
Paula.
thank you so much. You guys, I'm super excited. Thank you as always. I never take it for granted that you guys stop by on your Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern Time to be with us. Next week is Father's Day, and we are going to
Woo!
have a special Father's Day show. So this is what I'm asking. I'm asking you to bring your brothers, bring your fathers, bring your husbands, bring your friends. We are going to have a special Father's Day show. We're going to show love to those fathers, and we're really going to speak to fathers. I'm going to take a back seat. Marty is going to be the host, and he will be joined with our resident guest, which is John Henry Scott. And I think you guys are going to really, really
We're
enjoy
going
the
to have
show. So
fun.
I want you guys to make sure that you are there. One of the other things that we talked about Patreon. So Marty and I are creating a Patreon page for Wake Up Well. So what this does is when you join the Patreon community is that you can support us with as little as $5. And the reason why we're doing this is because it'll allow us to take the show to another level so that you guys can see some of the things and some of the changes. Well, that costs money. And so you guys, you don't have to join to watch this show. You will still be able to watch this show for free, but you will get some incredible things. Marty and I will be doing special shows. We will be doing live talks with you, answering questions. Also, monthly, you'll also get a one-on-one with John Henry and I, where we kind of talk about relationships. We talk about all these questions that you have for us that we get. So you guys will get that stuff. So more to come, but we just want to put it out to let you know that we are creating this community with content, more content for you that are in the Patreon community. However, you will still be able to watch this show as usual. It will still be an hour long. We're not cutting any of that off, but it's just a couple of perks that you will get as part of the Patreon community. So you guys, thank you so much. Nicole say, yes, it's good soil. Let's sow. Yes, yes, yes. So
Amen.
more to come, more to come on that, and we will be rolling that out. But listen, I want to make sure that you guys make sure bring the men you know in your life next week as we have our Father's Day special. You guys know, you guys can join our community. Text the word well to 404-737-0867. Listen, you can even text hello, darling. You can say, what's up, girl? It's me. You can really text whatever, but this just makes it more streamlined that you can text well to 404-737-0867. Why? Because we send out text, not daily. Every now and then you may get into a challenge where we do send out text daily, but we are really showing you inspiration, giving you productivity hacks, goal setting, and you'll be notified when a show goes live. So listen, I know you haven't been notified. We're going to put that into automation. You guys listen, your girl is listen. If you guys want to pray, listen, that God will just open up the heavens and that I will
Amen.
be able to have assistance. I will be able to have help. But you guys, I am so grateful for each and every one of you guys. You guys know we don't end any show without what? Waking up is automatic. Showing up is intentional. Today,
Today, I
I will
will
show
show
up.
up.
See you later.